Baccarat can be confusing at first, but it's actually one of the simplest games in the casino. It's also one of the best games for beginner players because there are no advanced strategies and the house edge is smaller than most other casino games. Every hand of Baccarat begins with the dealer dealing two two-card hands. One is known as the player hand, and the other is called the banker hand. At the beginning of the hand, players wager on which hand will win, or whether they'll tie. The winner is determined by which hand ends up with the total value closest to 9. In Baccarat, aces have a value of 1, numbered cards 2 through 9 count at face value, and 10s, jacks, queens, and kings are all worth 0. All final totals are between 0 and 9. Once a total reaches 10 or above, you must subtract 10. So 2 sevens, for example, totals 14, which becomes a 4. Baccarat is such a simple game because the dealer does all the work. Players only have to decide which hand to bet on, unlike games like blackjack where they can make decisions like hitting and standing. After players have made their wagers and the dealer has dealt the 2 hands, the player hand is acted on first. The 2 cards are turned over and the value is called out by the dealer. The dealer then turns over the banker's hand. The total value of each hand will determine whether either hand receives more cards. If the player's hand totals 6 through 9, the player stands. If it totals 8 or 9, it's known as a natural, and is an automatic winner unless the dealer also has a natural 8 or 9. If the player hand totals 5 or less, it receives 1 and only 1 more card. Whether the banker hand gets another card depends on the total value of the banker hand and the player hand. The banker hand will always stand with a total of 7, 8, or 9, and will always hit with a total of 0, 1, or 2. The rest of the drawing rules are more complicated, but don't worry. When you're playing Baccarat, all you need to worry about is placing a bet. In our next video, we'll go over basic Baccarat odds and strategies to make sure you're giving yourself the best chance of walking away from the casino a winner. Baccarat is one of the best casino games for beginners because there's almost no strategy needed. All you need to worry about is placing your bet. The dealer will take care of the rest. If you're still not clear on how to play, just watch our How to Play Baccarat video. In Baccarat, you bet on whether the player or the banker hand will win, or if they'll tie. Which brings us to the most important rule in Baccarat: never bet on a tie. One reason players like Baccarat is that the house edge is very small compared to other casino games. The casino has just a 1.06% advantage on bets made on the banker hand, and a 1.24% advantage on the player hand. But when you bet on both hands tying, the house edge goes up to over 14%. So as long as you bet on either the banker or the player hand to win, you're basically flipping a coin against the casino. Most Baccarat strategies have more to do with a gut feeling than solid math. Players will try to feel out how the decks are shuffled. The casino supplies players with a scorecard to keep track of results. Are the results coming out in long streaks for either the banker or the player, or is it more often alternating between the two? Many players like to follow the shoe, meaning, for example, when the banker wins, they'll bet on the banker until it loses and then switch. Other players like to play the chop, which means always betting against the last result. Another common approach is betting the trend up until a point. So for example, you may bet the banker and win 3 times in a row, but switch to a player bet on the 4th hand. The truth is, if you want to rely solely on the math, you should just bet the banker every single hand since the house edge is slightly less.